Hi, this is Manny from We Are Change East Bay, reporting you live from FEMA Region 9, deep behind enemy lines, and I'm with my friend here,
Greg Fernandez.
and we're here to bring you the news and views from the East Bay because we think globally, but we act locally.
That's right. So globally, there's something called chemtrails, or what you call
Aerial spraying.
Okay. And I'm looking at them right now, actually.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad outside today.
Yeah, so today's February 1st, 2013, and it looks
First of the
like
month.
the first of the month. Wake up. All right, check it out. So we got tons of chemtrails out in the sky. I refer to them as aerial spraying operations, and let's get into it. I mean, what have you seen in terms of your personal experiences in observing this quote-unquote natural phenomenon, or quote-unquote government operation, or quote-unquote conspiracy?
Well, let me just start with what I haven't seen. I've never seen the spider web looking ones. I've never seen those. You know, and those I don't know why it seems like they're only a certain area.
So what do you mean spider web? Like
there's like these little they come like after there's spraying, then these little spider web things kind of form, and people can actually touch them.
So what are you talking about? Like fibers falling from the sky, or
I don't know what it is, but I've heard many times of different people talking about this, and it's one of the things that to me is like the most far-fetched. But when you really think about it, well, you know, I've never seen it, so I really don't know.
Well, what do you think about the video footage that Patrick Roddy of We Are Change San Francisco Bay Area took?
I think that's the most credible footage that I've seen of it. Yeah.
Right. He videotaped some particulates falling from the sky at a BART station.
Is that right?
Yeah, and you can find it all over the web. Look up Webbery. Webbery. He's on YouTube.
He's on YouTube.
Yeah. WEBBERY. Webbery.
Look for Webbery.
Yeah, and you'll find him. His work's out there. He has a lot of photos.
He does.
Videos and a lot of information. And one of the greatest things that Patrick has done was he went to a climate change geoengineering discussion where he has over an hour of footage where these geoengineers are discussing the future of the planet and what they intend on doing.
Is that right?
So it's basically him at this...
Like what? Discussing...
basically discussing their plans on geoengineering the globe. And at the end of the discussion, not trying to get into too many details, but you can watch it for yourself on YouTube, they question him and ask him, do you really believe in what you're doing? And just hit him with real questions like the way We Are Change does it.
Do you know the title of that video?
I don't remember it exactly word for word, but we'll definitely post that on this video.
Yeah,
we'll put the link and give you guys some information on that so you can check it out for yourself.
Yeah. So
you don't have to dig that far. But not to cut you off, go ahead and continue on with what you're saying about the whole chemtrail thing.
It's
phenomenon.
I've seen the rainbow thing, but I've never seen the plasma rainbow thing that I know you've seen. I think your picture towards that is the closest thing that I've seen for that.
Right. There is that was back in 2010, November.
People thought it was fake too. They thought it
a
was
lot of people said that was photoshopped, and I laugh at them and go ahead. I urge you. I urge you to put it to the test.
Because I know you, though. You know what I mean? Only because I know you that I actually took it seriously.
Well, no,
Or else I don't know, man.
Right. No, I urge every single one of you to look at the photos that I took.
Yeah.
And prove that they are photoshopped.
There's
try to prove that they're photoshopped.
There's many photos out there just like yours, across the whole world.
Right, and that's the challenge, right?
Yeah, so it's
right. So the challenge is to prove that my photos are fake.
They're all
which they're not. They're real.
I
personally took these photos, and I seen this, rainbow-looking. I guess the only other way to explain it is like when oil is on top of water and the sun reflects on it, and it gives that weird rainbow reflection.
Why only in that one place, in the one area?
So speculation or
not too much
research into it, or however you want to describe it. There's true methods that are being implemented in terms of weather modification, and one of the methods implemented is the aerial dispersing of silver iodine,
Whoa.
and that's part of the cloud seeding operation where they can limit the effects of hail and rainfall. They do this in Alberta, Canada. They do it in some of the eastern states. We have a weather program going on here on the West Coast and the western part of the United States under the
few more years.
Under the operations of North American Weather Consultants.
Without telling anybody.
Right. Well, they do tell
It's
you,
like
but
putting-
you're not supposed to know about
It's
it.
kind of like putting horse meat
Inside Burger King
inside
burgers.
Burger King, you know?
And
Just-
pink slime
yeah.
inside chicken nuggets.
And they're like, what? What's the big deal? It's not that bad. It's
it's
no
not hurting your
different.
health.
Well, tell us then. Why don't you tell us then? Why didn't you just tell
Well,
people?
why the secret? Why
Exactly.
so secretive?
Why
I guess.
so secretive? Yeah, exactly.
Right. So if it was beneficial and good for us, I mean, they'd tell us, right?
I would assume.
Well, we'd hope. I mean, that's if angels are running the system. So the thing is, you know, who is behind this? Who are these angels, quote unquote, that work for our government, our loving mommy government, who
Are they
takes care of
the
us and
Nephilim?
provides for us?
They're the Nephilim
Okay, now we're getting into conspiracy wonderland.
or the reptilian.
Okay, well let's put that aside. Let's look at the
we do
conspiracy
know,
facts.
I mean, we can. Okay, well, this is the fact. Is I can look outside, and right now, and I can see that there's something really wrong with the way that our skies look. I don't believe that our skies are dimming. I think there's just more stuff building up here, and all.
Well, no, but that would cause the
smog.
sky to dim anyways. I mean, there's
Well,
a conspiracy
it would dim
about
for us, but I think that if you get higher up, the more higher up, maybe you get out of these clouds, you get out of these chemtrails that they're spraying here, that is landing here and just sitting there. And you can look, man. Our sky today was brown. When I was driving out, the sky was brown.
But the environmentalists are going to argue that it was because there's
It's
so
not
many
so
drivers out there
No,
and their
that's-
cars.
That's not what
But
it
I'm going to
is.
argue this. Living in California, we have a law where you're forced to put a catalytic converter on your vehicle.
I'm sick of the California laws, too.
Well, so am I.
Yeah.
But at the same time, basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is
Yeah.
that a lot of people ignore the quote-unquote accomplishments and achievements of the environmental movement of the past. So by talking on that subject, all that I'm saying is that in California, the quote-unquote environmental movement of the 80s and 70s decided that we need to make a law where all vehicles in California are equipped through government mandate to be equipped with the catalytic converter, which will cut soot and other emissions that dim the sun. So basically, it was an effort to combat the whole global dimming phenomenon through, emissions of soot, emissions of particulates that basically create this artificial screen of particulates that block the sun.
Right.
So your levels of sun, where you go outside and expose yourself to the sun to get vitamin D, because the sun is being dimmed, the effect of the sunlight and the UV rays that hit your skin and give you that vitamin D that you need, it's not happening. So with all these particulates and all these things that are into the atmosphere, it's not from us driving our cars. It's not from the power plant that coal power plant in San Jose.
It's
That
really
one
nice.
that is extremely regulated by the government, and they have to have scrubbers, catalytic converters, and other devices that would eliminate the emissions of soot. So there's no soot being emitted out of these exhaust pipes, or I mean, I'm sure there is because there's corporations that are greedy and they'll break the regulations, and I'm not at all ignoring that. But what I'm getting at is that the leaps and bounds that we have made as a quote unquote environmentalist society, saying, hey, we're going to push to eliminate soot and all these different emissions that dim the sun and deposit themselves on buildings, inside your lungs, and they have these adverse effects on our health. So with that said, we have made these leaps and bounds. We cannot deny them. But the reality is, when you have aerial spraying operations being conducted, through the likes of Pacific Gas and Electric, Edison Power of Southern California, and these other corporations who believe it's their natural right to seed and manipulate the weather to increase the snowfall, which would then increase the waterfall packs, the water coming from the snow packs, to increase hydroelectric power. Because in California, a big percentage of our power comes from hydroelectric sources, and the coal industry is extremely regulated, extremely scrutinized, because environmentalists over the years have done their jobs the right way by forcing them to eliminate emissions.
Yeah,
The only thing they're really emitting is CO2, which is a life-giving gas, and plants breathe that in.
Yeah, it's all crazy.
But
It's all
but
crazy.
the
all
question,
these laws, and that's what it's coming down
Right.
to. Now they're gonna make some law that we can't talk
So,
about chemtrails.
well, that's the
weather
tyranny.
modification,
We'll let the
things like
tyranny destroy itself. But basically, all that I'm getting
it's gonna
at
destroy some
is
of
that
us too, though. That's what I'm worried
no, of
about.
course, I'm worried about that as well.
We're
But
gonna stop that.
all that I was touching on in terms of the subject of pollution is that, like I said, we have made leaps and bounds to eliminate soot. If we look at soot emissions from 1900 to now, in the United States, we're probably one of the cleanest countries in the world. In China and other nations where we purchase many of our goods from and have given these incentives like lowering tariffs and completely removing them, they still conduct 1900 type industry. They're not up to date how we as Californians are in terms of being environmental stewards, because we've seen what happens to our our republic, our country, California Republic. I mean, IBM in the 80s destroyed the water supply in California. So by doing that, and again, I'm not taking any side one or way or the other. They created, well, the people came together and created regulations.
That's ridiculous. I hate the regulations.
They're good and bad. They're good and bad. I mean,
it always leads to
for us to say
bad.
that it's okay to dump fluoride,
no, but I don't
hydrofluoric
need
acid indiscriminately into the water table.
But most of them aren't gonna do that. They don't need these things because.
Well, no, but they did. That's the thing.
It never stops there. You know.
Well, no, but they did it.
That
So
just
basically,
leads into more things.
Right. All that I was getting at is basically in the early 80s and the late 70s, during the microchip boom,
Yeah.
Cottle Road, South San Jose, that general area, IBM and all these other companies, I believe it was Bell Laboratories and a few others, where they had hydrofluoric acid in their operation. So part of the doping process of microchips is you have to bathe them in hydrofluoric acid, and over time the hydrofluoric acid becomes contaminated and useless, so they have to dispose of it. So what they were doing was basically just disposing it into the earth and just dumping it into their backyard. That, oh, well, we own all this land, so who cares if it leaks onto the floor and falls into the water table. So by them doing that, people seeing, oh my God, these corporations are out of control, so we need to put these regulations in place to prevent them from poisoning the environment. But that's where I draw that thin line. I hate regulation, but then at the same time, it's like, well, where do we draw that line? Do we just allow them to indiscriminately destroy the environment? Or do we look for alternatives besides regulation? See, my alternative to the regulation is this. If someone's caught,
pretty much,
red-handed poisoning the environment and
punish
killing
them.
people,
Don't punish
exactly.
everybody.
Hold them accountable. Don't resort to corporate personhood where the corporation is punished and the people who signed on to that corporation get away scot-free. Just like BP, we look at Tony Hayward. Tony Hayward's sitting pretty. He's fine. He doesn't care. BP got slapped with the $4 billion fine, and what? Tony Hayward still has his multi-million-dollar bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing went for IBM and all the IBM people who used corporate personhood in their advantage to basically rape the capitalist system, because corporate personhood is not in any way, shape, or form, in the Constitution. The United States Constitution doesn't say that a corporation has the rights of a human being and an individual.
Doesn't say that it doesn't.
But it doesn't define anything in that regard. So for them to pass these laws and enact these regulations that give corporate personhood its power.
Is a corporation created the same as us? Is it equal in the Declaration of Independence?
No, it's not. But inside the new Universal Commercial Code system of maritime law, which the United States Corporation is part of, because you have to realize the United States is a corporation incorporated in 1789, and that's the law that they impose on the people through commercial law.
That's
but human and natural law, man law, birthright law is completely different. But the thing is, they blurred the lines
constitutional law
But
would be different.
right, but they blurred the lines between universal commercial code.
You can't make a
and
corporation. You can't make a
the
country
constitutional
a
law.
corporation. You can make any type of laws saying that it is.
But why
But
can't
you might
you?
as well just make a law saying that Santa Claus is real and he's coming.
Right. So you're basically
He's
saying
coming,
that just
you know.
because it's law doesn't mean that it's right.
Just because it's law doesn't mean that it's law. There's law, there's common sense laws, there's God's law, but I mean that doesn't fall into either one to make a country a corporation.
So then how do we
It's one of the stupidest things that some of these people could have done.
So then
but
how
it
do
shows
we
you how far back the tyranny has gone.
Okay, so then so with that said, then how do we combat thugocracy type corporations that take control of parts of the government and use the government to basically become their minion?
Well, there's many ways, but I think one is to try to get that law taken out. Is to try to get people to recognize that is not a real law.
So corporate personhood then,
The
basically.
personhood thing needs to be gotten rid of. Yeah, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to vote out a lot of people. That's gonna be really, really hard when the system is rigged the way that it is, and most people don't even think that the system works. And I totally understand why they think that. I don't agree with it, but I totally see that because you can see it. Everybody sees it. I mean, the fact that Prop 37 didn't pass, that's crazy.
Yeah, Californians
Right.
wanted to know what the hell they're eating. I mean, I
Come on.
don't know any Californian that I talked to.
That voted.
I mean, but you know what? I did run across Californians that just didn't give a shit. There's tons of them. But, Californians being what, quote unquote, we are in terms of, quote unquote, health nuts
Right.
are concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these people who are in the health type movement where they want to eat right, they want to be healthy, they're very pissed off that Prop 37 didn't pass because they knew that the majority wanted it to pass.
Right.
They knew that the people of California's voice wasn't being heard because Monsanto and Fox News and the like
Right, but
are controlled by the same interest.
But there were some good things that came out of it. Now when we go shopping, now we see more things that say non-GMO. Because you can say something is organic. That doesn't mean much. What you want to look for is non-GMO.
So I think freedom in that sense prevailed, where people
Definitely,
still
because
have
I
the
see a
right.
lot more.
I think, and even
People
though there is
spoke.
a lot of tyranny going on in our government, we still have the right to label how we wish.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, I mean, there's certain things that the FDA will regulate and say, oh, well, you're calling this a medicine and it could heal you, and that's dangerous and you're gonna have to get arrested, or you're not a doctor's situation and things like that. But in this sense, if people are growing organic and using seeds that are not genetically modified, I feel that it's their personal right to advertise that.
They should be able. They should.
in
they
a
should
truly
be able
free
to put
market,
non-GMO on there without any government tax or anything, or without
Right,
having
and
to pay for that label or anything like that. And I think that was some of the beef about Prop 37 too, was that the whole organic thing is kind of a joke because it's only like maybe 73.
but it's regulated by the government. That's
right,
the other problem
and
with
that's the other thing. Now
where you
this
get government subsidies and FDA, USDA
the good thing
regulation.
about this would be a state thing, and you really see that they really kill things at the state level because they don't have, at least I don't think they have the states under wraps the same way that they have the federal.
But that's what the 10th Amendment, is supposed to guarantee, is that the jurisdiction of the state supersedes that of the federal government, not the other way around. We've been somehow flipped and convinced that the federal government is the final word. No, they're not. It comes down to you, the people.
Pretty
we,
much.
the people. The
Yeah.
state decides what goes on in their state. And to take that even further, during the passing of the Patriot Act, the locality, the city, has the final say. There were countless cities across the country that you never even heard of. For example, my hometown of Soledad, California, the city council unanimously passed a resolution for the city saying that they will not enforce or comply with the Patriot Act.
Wow.
whether or not whether or not they held jurisdiction over that right, they still
stood that line.
They stood that line, and
Sure.
they exercised their right to do such as a city state,
And that
in
probably,
that sense.
that probably helped other people too. It probably helped other cities. So even if they didn't pass it, it still keeps it going, because when you talk about common sense things, man, people are going to act on them. And
Right.
They're going to do real common sense things back. The Patriot Act is crap. You know what I mean?
Right. For them to say
this
that
stuff,
that
man,
your
this
right to
TSA.
privacy is eliminated, I mean, that's basically what the Patriot Act is about.
This federal government is huge. We have a lot of agencies within our federal government.
But right.
Too many.
Right,
Way
but
too many.
Right, but again, that
We don't need
like
it.
I said before, it comes down to us, the people, recognizing our power. And by doing that, things in the city start happening. Things in the county start happening. What affects you the most? The people that run your city, the people that run your county. But we're constantly bamboozled by looking at the president
So what should I do?
and
Should I
looking at
go-
the senators. I mean, yeah, the senators and the president are things that we should be concerned with. But on a broader scale, and a scale that can affect you personally, and you have the biggest effect on, that's your local community.
Gotta go local.
And I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because earlier today I had mentioned I had this great idea.
Yeah.
And here's the great idea. It's very simple.
All right.
And everyone consistently argues this point, and I think it's a co-intel operation type situation where they don't want you to do this because it's so powerful, and the power is this. If the federal government decides to enact a law that says, okay, we're gonna say Mexicans are no longer human beings, anyone of Mexican descent is no longer human beings, and they need to be rounded up and put into this camp, there's going to be, the only defense to that is the boots on the ground, the cops. So that example, as extreme as it may be,
Yeah. Why would they do
I
that?
I would go ahead and use this one instead. If the federal government passed a law that said firearms in the private possession of citizens is now illegal, and citizens who fail to forfeit their guns to the government are now going to be considered criminals. So in order for that to fully be embodied and actually take life, the law enforcement officer, quote unquote law enforcement officer, or peace officer, or constitutionally elected sheriff, or whoever the one is the enforcer of that law that the citizenry passed, quote unquote, that the people passed. They're the ones that has that final, yes, I'm going to do it, no, I'm not. So the constitutionally elected sheriff, if they're
He's gonna need
aware,
some backup.
if they're aware, right, they're going to need backup, but if they're aware
That's why you need
that they
weapons.
have the final say in their county
Yeah.
and in their jurisdiction, they're very powerful. So if you let them know, hey, look, like in Kentucky and a few other states, this is already happening. Arizona's another one. I'm waiting for California to do this because I know there's a lot of areas of California which are extremely adamant about the Second Amendment. California is a farming state where there's a lot of farming involved.
So Hayward's a big farm.
And the farmers are not going to give up their guns for the simple fact that 911 will not protect them in the case of someone breaking into their land or trespassing and attempting to kill them, steal their property, whatever. They're not going to have the joys of a major city. California, there's a large majority of it that's rural and metropolitan, and this false flag of the media saying that California, everyone in California is like Hollywood is falling apart. It's total bullshit. I'm not Hollywood. I'm California Republic. That's me.
Kind of look Hollywood. Look a little Hollywood today.
Well,
with
I'm a
with
hipster.
Your diamond
Right,
California.
I'm a hipster with my diamond.
California bling bling.
Yeah, right. See,
I got
I got my hat. But no, the reality is this: regardless of my appearance, I love the right to bear arms and the right to defend myself. I'm a Californian.
Bear arms.
The right to carry them.
Okay.
To bear
For
them. You're
hunting.
bearing it.
To go
Like
hunting.
childbearing. You're bearing a child before you give birth.
Okay.
I'm bearing a gun. It's my gun
Giving
before I
birth
have to
a
use
gun.
it. Well, not in that sense. I'm in the sense of I'm carrying it. It's my right to carry it.
It is your right to carry it. Why not?
And that's what they mean by bear arms. So it's my right to carry my arms to defend myself. No one can take that away from me.
Do you have to carry it 24/7, or
No, that's your choice.
Set it down.
That's your
sometimes?
choice. That's
What
your
if you
choice.
don't bear it? What if you just,
Well,
kinda
possession.
wanna have
I guess
it
possession
in a
and
corner
bearing.
somewhere?
I guess private ownership, possession, and bearing go hand in
So,
hand.
yeah, probably.
There is no real difference there.
No,
It's my private ownership of something that I can bear or leave at my house.
to bear.
So
or
if you
not
want to
bear.
mess around with the English language and how
And be a jerk
and
off
how you
about
could
it.
you could use the gymnastics of the English language. I mean,
You
how
mean
many
that-
definitions of bear are there?
Jim,
Are there?
our language is mangled. It's so mangled nowadays. You can't trust.
And that's the
interpretation
that's the
of it.
whole plan
That
of
is
the
whole
imperial
plan,
language.
is
When you look at
confusion, to
right.
confuse everything.
English is the language of imperialism.
But what if there's
by
chemicals?
definition.
What if there's some chemicals that they could spray that would help speed up that process? That would help speed up the process of killing people, of getting people hurt, of making people feel sick, and that's something that is definitely possible with this chemtrail thing. I'm not
Right.
saying that it's fact or anything.
Right. So we'll let's cover
People
that
can't
on
be
this.
scared about it.
All right. So let's take a break.
Okay.
This is Manny from Rear Change East Band. I'm here with.
Greg Fernandez Jr.
And once we get back from this break, we'll continue on the chemtrail talk and continue our discussion on freedom, liberty, life, and the pursuit of happiness. So
Restoration.
we'll see you guys after the break.
Peace out.